we're going to shift now to R.Curtis, and he's the past general manager of Mid-Columbia Producers. He's got many years of experience in grain marketing, and our Western Center has been pleased to be able to collaborate with Raleigh with a series of marketing workshops as well.
Well, thank you for the invitation to participate in this program. And as a young farmer, I decided that if I was going to be successful, I needed to be a better marketer. Woke up one day as a potato grower, and the potato contracts had changed to where all of a sudden, instead of knowing a price I was going to get for the next year's potatoes, part of them had to be raised on the open market with no price assurance. Now, that bothered the dickens out of me. We all need to understand that we can and should shape our own future. The reality is, if you don't, someone else surely will. Well, managing risk and being a good marketer are very much akin of each other, but they're not exactly the same thing. When we buy land, we know we're going to grow a crop, and some of us, depending on which areas we live in, are going to grow some soybeans, some corn, some wheat, or maybe some potatoes or sugar beets, maybe alfalfa, maybe we're cattle ranchers. We all have different types of risk, and that risk lies in managing our cost of production and what types of production we're going to do, trying to predict our costs into the future. With the costs of production forecast into the future, then we have to look at price. What are we going to be able to sell those animals for, or what are we going to be able to sell the different products that we're going to grow? Can we forward contract? Do we sell in the current market? What do we do? Then, of course, if we're grain producers, if we sell using the futures market, we have basis risk. Then there's relative value. If I'm a corn producer and the price of wheat is cheap, then that's definitely going to impact what my high price in corn is going to be, and vice versa if I'm a wheat producer and the price of corn is low, then the potential downward price trend in wheat can be as low as that price of corn, because some wheat's going to get fed. Then we have substitution. What can we substitute for what? Today's commodity prices are created by supply and demand, and to be honest with you, as a marketer, I like marketing commodities that are tied to futures markets, because in futures markets, the prices beyond today are created by speculative value coupled to the speculative value of time, which creates in years of shortage marketing opportunities for multiple years in the future. Whereas if you're a potato producer or a producer of perishable products, the time value, the time that you have to market that crop is very limited. Well, what about high prices? In 78 out of the last 91 years, wheat prices increased an average of 10 to 15% after harvest. In 11 of those 91 years, the increase was 40% or more. Unpredictability. The unpredictable drivers were war, politics, drought, and wetness. If we look at the last 20-year trend in price and this is soft white wheat, the high up until 3 years ago was $6.13. The high price 2 years ago was over $15.50. The current price is $4.64. The 20-year average is $4.09, and the low price was $2.60, which was in, I believe, 1999 or 2000. The reality is that markets are very predictable. High prices, most generally, brings low prices. Let's get to laying out how we market. Over the last 40 years, my goal has been to learn to develop products and tools to help myself and my fellow farmers to create greater wealth. One day I was on an airplane, and I happened to be sitting next to a behavioral psychologist who was traveling back to L.A. from Chicago. And he had been hired by the Chicago Board of Trade to help understand why traders behave the way they do. Marketing, rather than price taking, requires knowing what you want and preparing assumptions and action steps. Marketing, rather than price taking, is a very mental endeavor. Strong emotional control and the right set of core beliefs are essential for self-help and economic success. Most professional traders have a common goal of capital appreciation from marketing decisions, not speculation on non-trending commodity moves. When I buy a bushel of wheat from a producer, what I do with that bushel of wheat once I bought it is determined by what the trends in the markets are telling me to do with that bushel of wheat. Today, I want to be short a bushel of wheat. I want to have sold a bushel before I buy a bushel because the market trend is definitely downward. The market is telling us, and the International Grains Council, the USDA, anything we read, that we're going to have the largest carryout of wheat at the end of this marketing year that we've had since 2001. That does not bode well for price. So these are moves that it creates predictability. We have predictability in the market. But what do we do as marketers? Now, here's the big thing that I've learned from behavioral psychologists. And I've hired several over the last 25 years to help me understand myself and my fellow farmers. Do you know you? We're a product of our personal belief structure. How will you feel if you contract a portion of next year's wheat crop for $9.50 and the price when harvest arrives is at $3? How will you feel if the price when harvest arrives is $16? Well, what if that portion was 25%? Let's think about this. We sold some $9.50 wheat, but when harvest arrives, it's $3. We're going to feel darn good about that sale, aren't we? Well, if the price was $16, we wouldn't feel so good about that sale. We'd still think about that sale even though that portion was only 25%. Making profit is seldom the real emotional goal when we sell or at what price. It's the means to an end, a currency that buys us emotional states such as feeling safe, feeling proud, feeling free, feeling right. Let's think about this. Has this ever happened to you? Joe Farmer sold 25% of his expected wheat crop for harvest delivery at $7.65, saying it was a great sale. Did he have a good reason? He sure did. It was a price well above the average price for the past several years. He knew it was a good, profitable price and knew he would have at least that many bushels. As is always the case with regret syndrome markets, remember this, regret syndrome markets, the price went up and up after the sale. In fact, to Mr. Farmer, it almost seems that the wheat market had become aware that he had sold his wheat and used this information as a catalyst to move up and up more and more over the next several days and months. Then something weird happened. He found himself rooting that the market would go lower. After all, since he still owned 75% of the wheat crop, and every move higher was making him money. But every move up was also a stinging rebuke of his completely arbitrary but financially sound decision to forward sell 25% of the crop at $7.65. The resulting conclusion is inescapable. Joe literally found himself wanting to lose money. Why would Joe Farmer ever want to do that? It's simple. Behavioral psychologists have found that we find ourselves valuing emotional return as even more important than the financial return. In most cases, our financial, emotional self is poorly conditioned. We as marketers, as educators, and as extension agents have focused on making sure we teach and help people to grow more, but we have never really hit on the core needs to help our farmers make more. I would dare to say that there are very few, if any, on the staff at the universities that are behavioral psychologists that are helping us to help ourselves to understand why we make financial decisions the way we do. Making profit is seldom the real emotional goal when we sell, or at what price. It is the means to an end, a currency that buys us emotional states such as feeling safe, feeling proud, feeling free, feeling right. Unfortunately, sometimes our emotional goals and financial goals are incompatible. Being aware of our secret reasons for making financial decisions, emotional return on investment, is what helps us overcome our psychology and navigate through the emotional minefield of purchasing and marketing decisions. Now let's ask a question. How have the high prices of the last 2 years impacted the selling of the current year's wheat crop? I can tell you from my experiences in dealing with farmers and making presentations throughout the Pacific Northwest that we have very few farmers that have forward contracted into the next several years, or even forward contracted into this year, even though they've had enormous opportunities. Why? Because they missed the $15 price. Planning for the future, emotional. When I deal with farmers and we talk about making a marketing plan, the first thing I insist on is that we first deal with the emotional parts of setting that plan. We must have decisive action that happens only if we're mentally positioned to capture assumptions which fit our desired personal outcome. We have to challenge and understand our own paradigms, our drivers, our fears, our needs, and our psychological minefields. How do we develop an understanding of what makes us act and respond to the way we do? We must understand. Mental conditioning through strategic planning makes us more proactive to situations and enables us to more quickly recognize fitting opportunities. We must listen with the intent to hear what is being said, especially to those who challenge our paradigms, the people who have thoughts that don't fit our thought patterns. We must understand from the other person's viewpoint. Then we must plan for the future financially. Here's the one thing I found in dealing with farmers that is one of the biggest struggles. When I ask people, okay, how much are you going to pay yourself? Well, they say, I pay myself $1,800 a month. Okay, what about your insurance? Oh, that's part of the farm. Well, what about your gas bill? Oh, that's part of the farm. What about your vehicles? Well, 3 of them, they're farm vehicles. One of them's not. And then the farmers say, well, I'm not making any money. I remember visiting a farmer friend of mine in the Midwest who asked for some assistance in marketing. And when I drove up to his house, he showed me his basketball court that was in the house and his helicopter and this and that and the other. And I said, well, how much of this is farm stuff and how much of it's, what do you pay yourself a year? Oh, he said, I don't pay myself very much. Well, it turned out that he was making lots of money, but he was paying himself as if he was running a $110 million a year income business. Pay yourself a fair wage. Understand what you're paying yourself. It may be that you may not be making as much money as you'd like to, but the reason is that you're overpaying yourself. Profits-only uses should be as tools for measurement, growth, and retirement. No other use. Understand and measure your use of depreciation dollars for growth. Procure inputs and market outputs from a manufacturing perspective. You bought the farm, you're going to grow a crop, you're going to use the inputs, so look forward, forecast. What are those inputs going to cost me in the future years? Know the market and what the market is telling you. Make sure your banker, accountant, and insurance agents are part of strategic planning and that they understand the plans and the action steps. Here's a little spreadsheet that I like to use. Use a cost of production, yield, cost per bushel, desired return on investment, needed price per bushel to get the desired return. Here, this farmer wants 50% rate of return. Well, he needs $8 a bushel. His current price at the time of this was $9.65. His differential to Portland was 61 cents. Local price was $9.04. Well, at that, he could get an improvement over cost of production at $278 an acre. It's easy to build these types of spreadsheets, and I know your local county agents and others will be more than glad to help. There is no crystal ball, but there is predictive intelligence. Predictive intelligence is mapping the future based on defined possibilities and probabilities of what will happen and your needed action steps, the bets that you're willing to make to capture positive results of defined goals. Define the potential of the future, then define what risks you're willing to take on and which risks you're willing to pass to others. Identify the necessary action steps, constraints, and timelines to accomplish the predicted goal. If you don't have a predicted goal, if you don't have a picture of the future, why are you even bothering to farm? Have a backup plan so you can be proactive to miss assumptions. The keys to successful marketing, you must have a vision of what you wish to accomplish over a long period of time. Understand yourself. Why do you think the way you do? What were your past decision-making pitfalls and shortcomings? Write it down. Refer to this list when making your marketing decisions. Plan and write down your short and long-term marketing strategy with if, when, and then statements. These can then be put in a simple Excel spreadsheet for execution. Include government programs and insurance products in your marketing strategies. Equip yourself with knowledge. How do insurance programs work? What is driving short-term marketing trends, the 1 month to 3 years? What may happen to change long-term trends beyond 1 year? What are the current world commodity competitive force trends? Country, weather, commodity mix, relative value. What are they telling us? What do the market experts think, not the coffee shop crowd? What price will return you the percent return on investment that you want each of the next 4 years? What price will return you the percent return on investment that you want for the next 4 years? If you can get that rate of return, why do you care how high the price goes? Mark your unsold inventory to market daily. This will help you equate dollars and strategy to inventory. Use the FSA programs. Loan. In years of low price, always use carry coupled with government loan 697 buyback programs and tools, even in forward contracts. Understand and using government-backed CRC insurance products to the maximum percentage. It's about revenue guarantee, not production guarantee. This is the greatest tool, and it's the closest to a free put that you will ever get in marketing. And beware of escalation. Because you missed the boat doesn't mean it will come back. The goal should be to make a greater than average return on investment, not to top the market. Write down an exposure limit. Prepare yourself in case extreme events happen. Give yourself a break. No one can predict the top or bottom of a market. Focus on price targets that return a desired rate of return over time. Be the low-cost producer per bushel. Today's commodity prices are created by supply and demand. Remember, all prices beyond today are created by speculative value coupled to the speculative value of time. Now, a lot of people say there haven't been any opportunities. Here's just a chart showing that last Friday's close, if you'll just look at Chicago wheat, the contract high for Chicago wheat since that contract has existed is 1060. December 09 was 1121. July of 10, 1113. December of 10, 1028. And July of 11, 1036. December of 11, 671. July of 12, 624. And likewise, you see these opportunities that have existed. for Minneapolis, Chicago beans, Chicago corn. This is just to illustrate that time value is a great thing. Time value creates opportunity. Remember, that guy that's bidding for corn or wheat out there in 2011 or 12, he's doing it because he wants to make a bet. He's not doing it because he knows that's what the price is going to be. And what if the bank says, I got to sell at harvest? Well, you know, you may have to sell at harvest because you need cash flow. If you're taking care of business, you're building working capital to where that's not the case. But if you know you're going to have to sell at harvest, then look at the forward selling opportunities into the future. If not, then just accept the fact that time is going to tell you what to do. When you run out of time, you run out of options. When you're dealing 3 years in the future, you control your own options. Well, here's the price trends. Where's the market going to be in the future? Don't know. But there's opportunity now beyond current prices. If you look at the July 2010 Chicago futures at 510, that's a lot better than September current at 441. Does it get you the rate of return you want? I don't know. Only you can answer that question. Anything we can help you with, feel free to give us a call. The purpose of Mid-Columbia Producers Cooperative being in existence is to try to meet our vision of properly exceed the expectations of our patrons and customers. Thank you for the opportunity to be a presenter. God bless you.